Welcome everybody. I'm glad to have with me today Elsie Dunn, and we have been talking for some time. We both are a part of LOCC, our Love in Our Community Coalition, and you have to me, a unique ministry that has come to Dublin and Lawrence County. Share with our viewers exactly what you do.
Hi, I'm the founder of Edify Teens Life Center. We are a facility that used to actually house girls in state custody, victims of sex trafficking. For the last 2 years, we actually had a quite big number of girls. We have experienced hands-on training with these young girls, 10, 13s, trauma, keeping them protected from the predators that was out there. Our youngest girl was probably 14 years old. Yeah, she was 14 years old. That was our youngest girl.
That is just so sad.
Yes.
A 14-year-old child, and any child, but what do we do, first of all? You got a lot of parents, grandparents, and my grandkids, we're taking some of them to the Braves game next week, and every year when we go, the older ones try to convince me, Papa, I can walk by myself, but I'm holding on to them. I got their hands in my hand, and my wife's got the other hands, and I said, honey, you just don't know. There's people up here today that not even going into the stadium. They're here to do evil things, and they're here to steal these kids and to do unspeakable things. So our children don't realize. So first of all, what do you say to the parents and the grandparents? How do we protect them more than just holding on to their hands?
I think the first thing we should do, and that's why I'm bringing the awareness, right now in Lawrence County, we have over 59 kids missing from the age 11 to, I think it was 16. In Dublin, we have, I think, around 29 kids missing. So altogether, we have almost 100 kids missing in our community. I think it's so important that we sit down with our kids and our grandkids, because one of my things is I wear my wristbands all the time. It's called Saving Our Daughters, because we're not sitting down talking to our kids, letting them know that sex trafficking is real. Social media, that's one of the things we have to monitor. I think we now, back in the day, we didn't have to worry about those things. You know, I came up in a community to where you can stay out, and when you see the lights, the street lights come on, you knew it was time to go in. We can't do that anymore. So now we have to protect our kids, and we have to let them know that hurt people hurts people. And that's what we're having right now. And it's so important to sit down with them, start letting them watch these movies. I know back in the day we didn't want our kids, or we didn't allow our kids to watch certain movies. But I think now is the time that we have to sit them down and let them see what reality looks like. And I think that would help. And then social media, you have to monitor them and let them know it's not that you don't trust them, it's the people out there we don't trust, because there are, sick people out there right now need help, and they're after our kids.
Absolutely, and it seems like multiple times a week I'll see on the news where a young girl is slipped out of the house to meet a guy that usually it's not even the guy that you see on the picture. Anybody can put a picture up of a pretty girl or a good-looking guy or whatever. And I just saw one was sentenced in the Macon Judicial Circuit for stealing a girl in Warner Robinson, taking her. I think they went to Illinois, somewhere up there. So before she knew what happened, she was gone.
Yes.
And thank God that law enforcement and the way these phones are now, they can triangulate the signal and find them. Where used to you couldn't find them. But you hit on a point. When we were growing up, you never heard of a child went missing.
No.
Just staying out a little late, and your dad or your mom took care of that, and you didn't do it again.
Yes.
But it's just and dig a little deeper there, because trafficking is not just stealing a child and going to Illinois or whatever. I have dear friends that are foster parents, and they have taken in recently 2 children that were sex trafficked. But it was, it just breaks my heart to even say this, but they gave them to their drug dealer to pay the bill.
Yes, we have a lot of that. One of our experience was we had a young lady that came into the facility, and she was 11 years old when her mother actually started trafficking her. So she would have the guys come over and have sex with her in order to pay her bills. And that happens because even the parents, because again, like I said, if we don't start preventing and if we don't start bringing the awareness, these young girls and boys going to wind up being predators like the other people because it happened to them. And this is what's happening right now. You know, we live in a time to where we took prayer out of school. You know, we can't discipline our kids. So they think it's okay to do these things. So when they get older, that's what happens. So we even had young girls that came in and said that it was married couples that actually will have a man cage, and the women would be upstairs and the men would be downstairs, and they were just multiple men, you know, had trafficked these young girls. It's real because one of the parents got upset with us when we went to court. She threatened a little girl. She said, "Do you want us?" And I, you know, I can't say too much, but she said, "Do you want us to go back to the other country?" She said, "Do not say anything." This child wound up getting pregnant for this man, and the child was manipulated so bad to where she thought she was doing her parents a favor by having sex with these men to pay their bills. And so that's happening. Even in our community right now, we have 25-year-olds messing with 16-year-old girls. And these young girls are in poverty. And so they're like, okay, well, we'll do whatever. It's manipulating these kids, and we have to bring the awareness that it's real. Yes.
Let's take a break. We'll come back and talk more about this in just a second. Stay with us.
Hey, I'm Heather Harrison.
And I'm Kim Bracewell.
And I've been a member of Fairview Fitness Center for 10 years.
And I've been a member for over 20 years.
We love taking the strength training class here. The energy from the teachers is just fantastic.
And also, I play racquetball and would love to have you come play racquetball with us.
So come join us at Fairview Fitness Center.
Since 1916, Gravely has been designed, engineered, and made right here in the USA. Whether you prefer gas or electric, every Gravely has been forged with the commercial landscaper in mind. So they're not only built to last, but to also keep you riding comfortably from dawn to dusk. So ask yourself, are you ready to graduate to a Gravely?
Hey, I'm TJ Schuler with Myers Equipment Supply. Come see us for all your sales and service needs.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm having a conversation with Elsie Dunn. We're talking about sex trafficking. And I know some of you that are watching saying, it's kind of like homelessness. People think that, oh, it's not really happening. There's nobody being sex trafficked. That's all in Atlanta or Los Angeles or New York or wherever. But you have the proof. We know this. You and I know this. And it's right under our noses.
Yes.
And if we will just pay attention, it could be next door. And they could see that child in and out. But, and you know, a lot of times I saw where they found those girls after 20-something years I think it was in Illinois too, but and the neighbors would see them, but they couldn't play with the other kids because they keep that tight rein on them.
Yes.
So how do you watch your surroundings and look for these signs? Because a lot of these places that they're there.
Yeah.
What do we do?
Well, what we have learned from the girls, and I can give you an example of one. One of our girls came in, and she actually was with the 56-year-old man, and so he asked her to sit in a car. So he done manipulated her so bad. He asked her to sit in a car. So she's sitting in the car. He so happened left his cell phone. When he left his cell phone, she hurried up and she dialed 911. But she met him online. And he drove 2 hours out towards this way because, believe it or not, the majority of our girls came from Middle Georgia. And she dialed 911. The police got there. When they got there, she told them that she was missing, or I can't remember how the story went, but the police wind up letting the predator go because the young lady, she told them she was 20. And he already had manipulated her to tell her what to do. So they let him go. They took her. Once they took her, brought her into custody, and so he already had manipulated her. And so when they brought her into custody, we found out that the young man actually had picked her up and brought her to his house. He had a house, and she said it was a big house, and it was men at the house, and she was having sex with other men. But how we found out is because once I guess I can say it was towards South Fulton, they was not trained. Some of the police department over there wasn't trained. And so they didn't even know how to identify her. But she was on missing child, and they did not even take the time out to, when they asked her for her name, so you have to be aware. So let's just say, for instance, if you see a child outside, or you see a child walking, with someone, and they never playing with other kids, or they never interacting, because sometimes they allow them to actually go to school and do these different things because they have manipulated them so bad. But the awareness of, with the question that you asked, is that you have to pay attention the way their hair look, the way that they dress, because when the police picked this child up, her hair was like an orange color. It wasn't even fixed, so they should have had identified. They're not really well kept kids when you see kids, because the reason why, because guess what? I don't want her to go get her hair fixed at a salon. I don't want to go, out to, play with other kids or whatever, because that's when they're going to get questioned. Mm-hmm. So you have to look at the appearance on how they look. So when the police picked them up, what happened was she did not even look like a normal deport child. You have to look at the appearance. Yeah. And that's when the police should have said, okay, let me go ahead and look our name up and let me see. But they waited until they got to the station, and he was gone. He was gone after that. So, we have to pay attention to, even when the kids go to the doctor offices and et cetera, they'll sometimes send them to the doctor office, but, we have to be the ones that start paying attention. And what we noticed, every young girl came through our door, their appearance and their personal hygiene was not up to par. So that's one of the ways that we can identify, just by looking at how they're looking. Now, there's a difference between sex trafficking and you taking a 16-year-old girl and a 25-year-old man wants to have sex with her. That's still, sex trafficking, but he's taking care of her and manipulating her. So he's preparing her. But once they get these girls in these places, they can't come out. They're trapped. And so, that's how we can identify by the appearance. Most of the time, in the way that they don't look you in the eyes. They definitely can't look you in the eyes. Now we have these signs that we use and this and that, but the traffickers know about those signs now, so those girls can't use those signs anymore. So the most important thing is looking at their appearance and seeing how they're reacting, and if they smile or if they say hi to you. So, that's some of the ways that you can tell they're sad. They are really sad, and their appearance are sad, and the traffickers are not trying to, put them out in the public to actually interact with people.
So basically, they're brainwashing these kids.
Yes,
that's what you're saying.
Yes, they're brainwashed, and these are kids that the majority of them, I have to say, come from low-income families.
Yeah, well, I hear you saying we need to train law enforcement better. We need to train ourselves better.
And ourselves, yes.
Because it's so common now. It is so common.
It is.
And we know Atlanta is, I think, the #1 city in the United States, and we're only just a right
little
down the
small
interstate.
town. Yes, we are. We're a small town.
And they think the reason they pick these smaller towns,
Yes,
there's less chance that they'll be found out.
yes,
They can live in rural Lawrence County.
yes.
And if you're sitting out on a 5-acre piece of land by yourself, on down deep in the woods, and nobody's going to come down there.
No.
They don't have a phone to call with. If they run, they got to run through acres and acres and acres
Yes.
of land. And a lot of times they're chained or restrained some way, aren't they?
Yes, and that's why I said the appearance. So when they do decide to say, hey, I'm going to take you out, and this was just a day that this man was actually, and I forgot to say this, he actually was working on a construction site. He was one of the painters, and he was working on a construction site in Fairburn, Georgia. He was working on a construction site. And he so happened to leave his phone, and that's when she dialed 911. But he manipulated her so bad and told her to say that she was 20, and that's what she did. And so he told the police, "Hey, we got into a altercation, and they let him go, and they didn't even bother to ask this, not ask, but they didn't even bother to run the child name first before they let him go. They just let him win."
And he's off doing the same thing again.
He's off doing the same thing. And he was a married man. We pulled up we got everything on him. He was from Ohio, and he was a married man. Came down to Atlanta doing some construction work. Yes.
Yeah, and that is pretty well the case. They have families, they have wives, but
Yes.
yet they have this secret life
That secret life.
where they're doing these things to these children.
Yes.
And can you ever, and I know you have professional counseling and we
Yes.
try to help these people, but can you ever, these children that this is done to, can they ever get over that situation? I mean, fully?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't say that we can't get over it, but I know it's hard because for us, we have dealt with the 1013s and the trauma. They're going to have to deal with that the rest of their lives. And what wind up happening is that these young girls get so involved that it becomes a sexual behavior for them now. So with a lot of counseling, a lot of them reject counseling. We had some girls that would not even want to talk to someone else. They don't feel comfortable with talking to someone else. Now they talk to Ms. Elsie. I was a teenage mom. I came from a middle-class family, but I had a support system. One mistake don't define who you are. That's why I have such passion for young girls. I don't know what sex trafficking looks like, so I tell them I can't deal with that part of trauma in your life, but what I can tell you that you can overcome this adversity. You can overcome it with God's grace. We did a lot of praying. I was a state facility, so we couldn't do too much praying. We had to secretly do certain things when we actually was there. We just actually closed down April of 2023. We just closed a couple of months ago. So we wanted to become a resource center. And that's why I'm here. I'm here now because we had the hands-on training. And now we're trying to figure out how we can get these girls back stable again. And we noticed one of the things was when they signed themselves out, they were calling us back. Hey, Ms. Elsie, I'm homeless. I have nowhere to go. Some of the girls do overcome, but it's going to take an amazing and an awesome support system. And that's what we're here to do. We want to now give them that support system because if we can catch it early, we can actually prevent them, continuing to doing the things and wind up dead on the streets one day. But that question, I think they can. By the grace of God, I think they can. If we have this great support system, the girls we're dealing with right now, we have 7 girls that we work closely with, and these are the girls we are getting ready to provide housing for. And if we can give them a new beginning and we can let them know that what happened to them was not their fault, because people always say, what is wrong with them? They never say what happened to them. And so, I love to pray with them. I'm a woman of God, and I love to pray and I anoint them. And yes, I think they can overcome this tragedy that they have been in.
Yeah. It's so sad, isn't it?
Yes, and they have to want it, you know. Some
Yeah.
of them, you know, want it, some of them don't.
That's right. We have to make our mind up
Yes.
no matter what it is.
Yes.
But, okay, y'all stay with us. We'll come back and wrap things up in a moment.
First Lawrence Bank invites you to experience banking at its best. Whether you have personal or business needs, we're a full-service bank big enough to handle all of your banking needs and small enough to provide you with that personal touch you've grown to expect from a community bank like First Lawrence Bank. Looking forward to your future. That's First Lawrence Bank in Dublin and Dexter. Member FDIC.
Hometown Supply is welcoming in spring with a bigger and better selection of zero-turn mowers, blowers, string trimmers, and a complete line of power tools for the yard.
Hometown Supply has all of your lawn and garden equipment from zero-turn mowers to string trimmers and blowers. We carry all major parts and offer service and repair, so come see us at Hometown Supply.
And remember, Hometown Supply has a large selection of new and used appliances.
And remember, if you can't do business at Hometown Supply, you just can't do business.
Welcome back, everybody. Before we close, Elsie, you were talking about how we look, how we notice, how we observe things, and I think that's the missing link. So before we do close, why don't you let's backtrack a little bit so we know. And you and I talked off camera, and y'all, within a few miles of where I live, children are being trafficked, so we're told. And we're looking into that now. You're going to do a little deeper dive into that. But y'all, this is right out in the wide open. And some of them have them so brainwashed, they don't worry about them doing nothing else because they have just indoctrinated themselves into what it is. So before we go over it again. How do we spot this if it's in our neighborhood?
Well, I'm going to say this, and everyone aware of the R&B singer, how those young girls was trafficked, how those young girls was manipulated, and it was right under our nose. So one of the things that we have to do is start getting out there, bringing the awareness. You know, Edify is here in Dublin, Georgia to bring the awareness because, like I said again, the majority of our girls came from Middle Georgia. We have to now get to the churches, get to the schools, you know, get to our neighborhoods, making sure these, you know, posters and everything is out because it's real. Sex trafficking is real. And by us bringing the awareness of it, we can stop it and we can actually help those predators stop it as well because now they know that we know how to identify. Let them know that we're going to start knocking on doors. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to start knocking on doors. We got over 97 kids missing just in our community. We have to start being observant and watching, seeing who's coming in and out. You know, that child can be right next door to us and we don't even know it because we're not paying attention because we think that, hey, it's not our child missing. But like the Bible says, we are a village and we have to go back to becoming a village and supporting and helping one another because these kids are God's children and they did not wake up and say, I want to be a trafficked child, you know. And the predators, you know, they need help themselves, but they know that what they're doing is an evildoer. And so I just want us to, you know, come together as a community. We're going to be doing a lot of more outreach. We're going to be bringing more awareness to the schools and to the churches and to the businesses as well. You know, even at the truck stops. You know, start paying attention when you go and get gas, you know, observing, you know, support and help our law enforcement to, you know, it takes a village to, you know, bring this awareness because it's increasing, not decreasing. And so I pray and hope that, you know, this message that we sit here today, I thank Mr. James for allowing me to come and share, you know, what we're dealing with now just throughout the whole world. It's just not in the state of Georgia, but Georgia is second right now leading. And so we have to save our kids, save our daughters.
I told you off camera a while ago, the sheriff of Orange County told me just last week that they make 8 to 10 arrests on average every week for child molesters. These people are preying on our children, our grandchildren. our neighbors, and I do believe it's happening right here in Lawrence County,
Yes.
right in front of our eyes. Because, you know, when we were growing up, neighbors knew neighbors, and we sit on the
Yes.
front porch, and all the kids would come over, and, you know, we played, and you knew these things. Now,
Yes.
most people don't even know their neighbors.
They don't even know their neighbors.
We live in
no.
such a busy life. I think sometimes people are busy being busy.
Yes.
But we need to slow down and look, because that one child that we
Yes.
could rescue could mean all the difference in the world. So
Yes.
I'm so excited about what
Yes,
you're doing.
I'm excited to be here.
And look, if you've watched this and you want to let somebody else know about it,
Yes.
just go to our YouTube channel at TV35. You can share the link. You can tell them to go on YouTube, whatever.
Yes.
But you can share this with anybody through your email. And we
Yes.
urge you to do that, because we've got to get the word out.
We got to get the word out.
So thank you, Elsie.
Yes. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you
James,
so
for
much.
allowing me to come and share my testimony and the experience and the things that we're doing to save our daughters.
Well, we've had, as we've talked over the last 30 minutes or so, the number that keeps popping up on the
Yes.
screen, just write that number down. And you can call,
Yes.
it'll be answered, or they'll call you back. And you don't have to be involved. You can say, hey, I live at whatever address, and I
Yes.
think one of the neighborhood kids, I think someone's being trafficked. Can you check on that child?
Yes.
Look, even if it's wrong, you took that step.
Yes.
And I'd rather them go out 10 times and have 10 wrong calls just to find that one.
Yes.
So please help. The number's been on the screen. So thank you so much for
Yes.
joining us today.
Thank you.